prices are, but crypto markets maybe $1 trillion today. It sounds like a lot, but working with, quarter homes, and we're talking about residential real estate, just residential real estate, just in the US. So one asset class, one fraction of an asset class in one country is $40 odd trillion. As an asset class globally, we're talking, $200 to $300 trillion. And that's just real estate. And then you start looking at funds, private debt, equities. So, and actually private markets are far larger than public markets. So what we actually have is a perception, even in traditional finance, of the size of markets that's linked to very visible things like stock markets. But actually the private markets are 6, 7, 8, depending on what numbers you look at, times bigger than public markets. So actually we're talking about markets, 600 trillion, 800 trillion. These are the kind of numbers we're looking at in terms of addressable market.
What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to dive into some recent crypto news today. We're also going to touch on the recent crash that we just saw in the altcoin market, because there were a lot of similarities to what we saw in April. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and let's get into it. So the clip I just played was the founder of Toko, Scott Teal, discussing the total addressable market, and this is on the HBar Bulls YouTube channel if you want to check out the full video. And in that clip, Scott discussed the tokenization market, the crypto asset class, discussing the total addressable market for the crypto asset class. So Scott explained that the total addressable market, or the TAM, was between 600 trillion to 800 trillion. Now, even if you did a top-down analysis from the TAM, the total available market, or the total addressable market, down to the SAM, which is the serviceable addressable market, and then a smaller portion of that is the SOM, the serviceable obtainable market. Now, you could get a really accurate range with more data, but just assuming that the SAM is 20% of the TAM, that is still 120 trillion to 160 trillion. And even if the SOM were just 10% of the SAM, that is still around $12 trillion to $16 trillion. So 12 trillion versus the TAM 600 trillion, that is 2%. So I know there are other TAMs that are much, much higher, but even just using this number and assuming the SOM is 10% of the SAM or 2% of the TAM, that is in the range that we've seen for a variety of predictions of 12 trillion to 16 trillion. So I thought that was interesting because whether you're considering the tokenization market or the crypto asset class, this all lines up close to the range of Raoul Cycle top prediction, Ripple and Medico's prediction, and then BCG's tokenization prediction of $16 trillion. So they all line up and the numbers at least make sense. And really quick, before we dive into some recent news, I wanted to discuss Bitcoin dominance because we just witnessed a micro example of what we saw back in April. So in April, we saw Bitcoin dominance go up, but the Bitcoin price chart went down, and that leads to alts dumping. So the last time this happened, it was much bigger. The Bitcoin dominance climbed much more, and Bitcoin did a pullback much more in terms of percentage, and alts actually took a much bigger hit. But we did just see another example of number 2 here in the picture. It was just to a smaller degree, and we are waiting for number 3. But what I'm looking for, and I assume the majority of people that hold alts, is number 3. When Bitcoin dominance doesn't just go down, it crashes like the last 2 cycles leading to the last 2 alt seasons in 2017 and early 2021. During this time, at least last cycle, when Bitcoin dominance crashed, the Bitcoin US dollar price chart went up, and that led to alts pumping. So I just wanted to point that out. I know nobody cares about crypto right now. It is extremely boring, but that is the move on the big picture I'm looking for the fun to be back. And at least looking at past cycles, that move is all based on after Bitcoin gets its first major move to all-time highs. One other thing I want to share on the monthly time frame is looking at how strong the RSI is of the Bitcoin dominance today. We're basically at the highest levels we've ever been. So even going back to past cycles around these peaks, we're basically just above that level today, over the 59.6. We're really just pushing just above 60. So this interests me if Bitcoin dominance is going to actually tag 70 or blast well above it. So we see Bitcoin dominance is relatively strong, just above 60, and during the past cycles for the Bitcoin price chart, each time we passed 70 on the monthly for the monthly RSI, we went on big runs or major moves in all-time highs or each cycle. So I'm still looking at the monthly chart because when we do finally actually pierce through this level, that's the confirmation I need. And same thing going down to the weekly time frame, we're in a very similar position, potentially able to pierce. So we're going to find out if we pierce through or reject. But overall, just wanted to share what I'm looking at the potential for the next cycle to begin. We just don't know how long this takes. So based on where the Bitcoin RSI, the monthly and the weekly are, and the Bitcoin dominance RSI, it's still possible for number 1 in that picture for Bitcoin dominance going up, Bitcoin going up, and alts going down a little bit further. So not trying to FUD anything, that is in the back of my mind. The end result is leading to the next alt season where alts finally lift off. So really nothing has changed. We are just kind of trending. The higher that Bitcoin goes and the higher that Bitcoin dominance go first, historically, the better the ROI for alts later when they finally take off. And this is the monthly chart for anybody new. This is not the 4-hour chart or the tomorrow chart. And I still strongly believe that when alts finally take off, they're going to have a much higher ROI than Bitcoin. We just have to wait for that moment. And at least the scenario that's running through my mind compared to past cycles and understanding the correlation or the relationship between Bitcoin dominance, the Bitcoin price chart, and alts is if Bitcoin were to draw major moves in all-time highs, Bitcoin dominance climbs up a little bit and alts fall down a little bit, a lot of retail investors are going to say, what the heck is going on? And that move historically can sometimes get retail investors to say, screw these alts, I'm going into Bitcoin. And you can still make ROI in Bitcoin depending on where we're at in the cycle, but for me, I'm just patiently waiting in alts and I'll be DCAing. So per the past cycles, we know DAG did a 70x, 70x, small caps did really well, other assets still did 5, 10, 20x returns. We all know that bear markets are emotionally taxing, whether we are crashing or just in a trendless range, and it's just on and on and on, and you just get tired. But bull runs, and I'm referring to when Bitcoin is drawing major moves past its previous cycle top, which we haven't seen yet, are equally as emotional. In a very different way, and it's a lot more fun. And these cycles that we've seen for the Bitcoin price chart since 2009 and the entire crypto asset class are really interesting, because these cycles, whether they're 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years long, for me at least witnessing it with a bunch of you guys, I feel like that is just the perfect amount of time to seed enough doubt, enough boredom, and then boom, it happens. Right around when you're losing interest and you're ready to just give up and kind of just take time away. So I don't know when Bitcoin is going to draw its first major moves in all-time highs. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm awaiting confirmation to see Bitcoin do just that and my expectations for alts. And we're going to see how the altcoin market moves when Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance price chart are actually moving. Because that relationship of the Bitcoin dominance going up or down and then the Bitcoin price chart going up or down is going to impact alts. So the markets might be boring now, but I expect some wild days ahead. We're going to pause this video because somebody is drilling through concrete right now. Alright guys, I think we'll call it a day because I don't know how long they're going to be working and my windows aren't soundproof, so we'll just keep it short and sweet with a 7-minute video and we'll dive into a bunch of news in the next one. Thanks so much for watching guys, and big thank you to all that hit the like button, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.